Okay, it's now tarot lesson number 153, and I'm recording this on the afternoon of the 30th of August, and I'm going to upload it this afternoon. But the reason I'm telling you this and the date and so on is because I'm going to put some kind of blog post with an outline and a bit of description of what we're going to cover. And I'm going to put it on the Substack tarot tune-up newsletter thing. And I'll try and get it done today, but it may not be up until tomorrow. So if you go to and sign up for the newsletter at Substack, you'll get a written version of this video. So I was going to call it, it's about court cards, and I was going to call it, court cards are your friend, not your enemy. But then I thought people might think court cards, but reading the title, you might think court cards only show your friends. But it was more the idea that don't be afraid of court cards, because a lot of people, you turn a court card and you think, oh no, what am I going to do with this? And so I was thinking, what can I call it instead of court cards are your friend? And I thought, don't fear court. And obvious, well, for a certain generation of people, there was a song by a band called Blue Oyster called Don't Fear the Reaper. So that's why it's called Don't Fear the Reaper, and Reaper scored out, and it's court cards. So I have an outline here, and I made it big in case you want to stop the video and look ahead or make some notes. And this is what I want to cover. And I made notes like this because I want to cover things in detail, or not so much in detail, but I don't want to leave out points. So, and I'll expand on them, I think, more in the written blog post that you can get at Substack. So three things to do with court cards. A court card can describe the questioner. It can describe somebody that you know, or somebody else, somebody who is known or unknown. But a court card can also describe a condition or a situation or an event. And I think what you do with court cards is, if you turn the card and you're not sure what it means, I've got the King of Cups here, you say, if the card represents you, the questioner, then blah, blah, blah. If the card represents somebody you're going to meet, then this is the kind of person you're going to have a connection with. Or if it describes a condition or a situation, it would be this kind of situation. And I'm going to, in this video, talk about each of the three areas maybe, or each of the three categories of meaning for a court card. And I've got a Queen, a Knight, and a Page here as well. And I'll get to them. So I've looked at that and that and that. So if you look first at kings, and we're going to ask the same kinds of questions for kings, queens, knights, and pages. You look at a king, and maybe you get a piece of paper and you write in the middle, K-I-N-G. And then you think, you take a few minutes and you think about what kind of person is represented by a king, or what kind of person would you consider to be a king? And you think about kings for a few minutes and you write down odd ideas that come to mind. So the first thing I think of is Elvis, because Elvis Presley was known as the king. So kings can connecting kings with Elvis, kings can represent people who are well known, who are famous, who are very capable, who are expert, who are worshipped by other people, because people love some people loved Elvis. So it's giving you an idea about the kind of thing you might say about the King of Cups. So if somebody wants to know what's my future and the King of Cups is there, you're going to become well known or capable or an expert, or you're going to be rewarded for your skill and expertise. So it doesn't mean that you're going to become the king of the world or the king like Elvis was the king, but it means that in your area, in your environment, so maybe you're a school teacher, you're going to become the head of the department or well known maybe in educational circles. Or maybe you live in a condo, so you're going to become the head of the condo board. or you're going to, do you know what I mean? It's like in some way you're going to rise up in your environment, in your place of work, in your place of business, in your social sphere. You're going to be known and a representative, maybe, because kings can be a representative, and then REP for short for representative. And kings, they're in control. Okay, so maybe you think the king of cups or the king of anything can be somebody, the person who is in control. They're in charge. They make the decisions. And so a king upside down can be somebody who thinks he's Elvis, but he's not. They think they're talented, but they're not. Or they want to represent people, but they do a bad job of it. Or they think they're the representative, but they're not. Maybe they're the odd man out. That people, they think they're part of the group, but nobody wants anything to do with them. But nevertheless, they still think that they're representative of the group or representative of a certain group of people. And the control idea here can be that with the King of Cups upside down, you want to be in control and you're not. Or you think you're in control, but you're not. Or you want to be in control, but you're not really capable of being in control. You can't be trusted in a high position. So I have to move along with this, but that's the kind of thing you do with the king. Write down king and write down ideas and thoughts that come to mind about what a king could represent, and then relate it to the suit. Because the King of Cups is, when it comes to control, right, the King of Cups is different, has a different kind of control than the King of Swords. With the King of Cups, they maybe sweet talk you into agreeing with them, cups being emotion. Whereas with the King of Swords says, if you don't do it, you're going to suffer, because it's a sword, it's a weapon in his hand. So you get different ways of being in control, different ways of being the king, different ways of being a representative, depending on the suit. So that's something about kings. There's the Queen of Swords. So if we do the same kind of thing, what do we got for the Queen? Queen, right? And what did I write here? So with the king, what sort of person? Okay, if we've got the Queen, a mother, maybe, a mothering character, somebody who will look out for you, who take care of you, who will make sure that things go smoothly. It's a bit like, and children go back to school on Monday in Canada anyway, and so lots of mothers are out getting new clothing for their children, making sure, or finding out who's going to be in their class, and arranging, snacks of what they're going to eat and so on. So they're forward-looking, but they're also doing what they have to do to take care of people, so that the people do well, or people have a comfortable time of it in the future, let's say going back to school. So a mothering influence or a mothering person. Also, queens are sensitive, I think. And a king might be sensitive but doesn't really care, because you're going to do what I tell you. Whereas a queen is the feminine principle, and the queen is more understanding. They may end up telling you what to do and you don't want to do it, but at least they're aware that you don't want to do it. Whereas a king probably doesn't care the same way, or isn't as influenced the same way as a queen might be. I have to move along here. So a queen, then we've got the knight, and so we've got the Knight of Battens as it happens to be. So a knight, K-N-I-G-H-T. What do you do with a knight? What comes to mind? A knight, Knights of the Round Table, chivalry. So a knight, if you think of it that way, has got a kind of morality. They've got a code of ethics, a code of morality that they live by. They understand the right way to do something, and they're going to do it the right way because they've got chivalry. Maybe chivalry isn't so popular anymore, but maybe it ought to be with a knight. And knights are youthful, let's say. Youthful. Somebody youthful. Kings are more mature. They're older. Knights are younger and more energetic, maybe, and more. They've got to get up and go, whereas maybe the king is old and retired, or the king wants to sit down. The knight wants to get on a horse and go places. So they want to do things and expand and achieve and set challenges and overcome obstacles. That's the kind of activity you've got with a knight. So if the questioner is represented by a knight, then they're adventurous, or they're more willing to take a risk, or they're more willing to do what they have to do to make it work. Whereas a king is maybe more interested in giving other people orders and getting them to do the dirty work. A knight is more likely, or probably more willing to get his hands dirty and actually do the work that has to be done. And then a page, same idea, Page. And what kind of thoughts come to mind about a page? And here I've got the Page of Pentacles. You look at the Page of Pentacles and it's maybe thoughtful, because the Page of Pentacles anyway is thoughtful. And maybe the Page of Cups, thinking of the Page of Cups, looking at the cup with the fish in it, maybe there's a thoughtfulness and maybe an uncertainty about pages, because they're looking and they're maybe wondering and they're maybe undecided, whereas a knight, they know what they're going to do and they're going to go out and do it. But a page can be youthful. When I say youthful, I don't mean the same way as a knight is youthful, because it's a difference maybe between a page being a 5-year-old and a knight being a 25-year-old. So pages can represent children and young people who are not experienced. Because if you're only 5, you don't know that much. If you're 25, you've been through a certain amount. So pages can be, what have I got, thoughtful, and there can be uncertainty about them as well. So somebody wants to know, can I handle the new job? And you get a page of Pentacles, a page of any suit. Yes, you can handle it if the card is upright. But if it's even if it's upright, can you handle it? Yes, but you don't have that much experience yet. So when you go into the new position, don't act as if you know everything, because at this point you don't. So, what have I got here? So that's something about how to make sense of kings, queens, knights, and pages, and what kind of person it is. So if the court card represents the questioner, you're now going to be able to describe what they're like, or what they're going to become like, or what their strengths and weaknesses are, or what they need to work on, maybe. Because if the King of Cups is upside down, you can be you're too bossy, or you're too commanding, when you really don't have the skill to be a commander. So, now we know, or you've got an idea of what sense to make of a king, a queen, a knight, or a page, if it's describing or referring to the questioner. If the court card is, let's say it's in the future, and you want to know, do I already know the King of Cups? So what do you do with that? And I wrote down here, if it's somebody that you know, maybe if you've got, in the past you've got, where's a cup? The 7 of Cups. It's the same suit. So it can be that because the suit is the same, cups here, yes, you already know that person. It depends on the spread that you're using. If you get past, present, and future, and you've got the king, the cups in the past, and the king, or the suit is the same in the present, then you already know that person. Is one way of looking at it. Whereas if you've got swords in the past, or batons in the past, and the present's the King of Cups, it's a different suit. So it can be that you don't, maybe you know the person, but you're not that familiar with them because the suit's different. And that's one way of figuring out, do you already know the person? If there's something repeated in the picture as well, and so I've got the King of Cups here. If the star comes up, or has come up in the reading, or depending on the reading you're doing, a Celtic cross maybe, the star is holding 2 cups, and here we've got the King of Cups. If you've got something in the past repeated in the present card or repeated in the court card, you already know the person, because you've got experience of cups here in some kind of a way. You've got experience of cups here. So if you've got the same suit in the past as the king or the queen of the page, you know the person. If you've got some kind of element in the picture, you know the person. There's a repetition that way. The other thing is, if the card shows changes, and I think I've got some things here. There's the 3 of Batons that can show changes, new developments taking place. So maybe you don't already know the person because it's going to be new, a new person to fit in with the new conditions. If you've got the 2 of Pentacles, you're having to make a decision about which way to go. And depending on the decision that you make, you can bump into or meet new people, because this can show change. And the third one, I hope, it's the 7 of Pentacles. I thought I had the 8 of Cups, showing somebody walking away. And that in its own way shows change. But here with the 7 of Pentacles, you're thinking about what direction you want to go in. And depending on the decision that you make, you can meet new people. So that's one way of, or a couple of ways of thinking about, do you already know the person or not? And then I've got, with the Queen of Swords, I kept her out. And you've got, if the Justice card has already appeared and the Queen of Swords is here, then a sword, where's the sword? There's a sword. And there's a sword. Yes, you already know the person. Whereas if the Justice is present and the Queen is in the future, then this is somebody new that you're going to meet, because we've got the sword here and the Queen here, the sword in the future. The other thing is, if the question is, am I going to meet somebody and have a good relationship, and you get a king, a queen, or a knight, or a page in the future, then it's somebody new, because you're asking about a meeting with a new person. So am I going to meet somebody and you get the Queen upright? Yes, you'll meet it, and it'll be this kind of person. The Queen upside down, yes, you're going to meet some new person, but you're not going to like them. Or you're going to have a relationship, but it's not going to go anywhere because the card is upside down. Or you're going to discover quite quickly that you don't actually like the person. You don't really want much to do with them because the card is upside down. If it's reversed, so, or else you discover the person isn't your type. And then the third category, so to speak, is the king, a queen, a knight, and a page can represent a condition or a situation or an event. And in the same way that we looked here with kings, queens, knights, and pages, and we came up with different ideas connected with those people, then a king, okay, I may as well show you this. The king, and I wrote down, what have I got here? If it shows a condition, the king, a king appearing in a spread can indicate that what's important is somebody to discover who's in control, who's in charge. So the king represents not a person, but the idea that it's important to make a decision about who's going to be in charge, who's going to make the final decision, who's going to make the first decision. And the king can represent the idea of having to make a decision or having to choose a course of action or having to choose a direction. Who's going to be in control? Who's going to lead? Is anybody capable of leading? And maybe a king could represent the idea of having to figure out what qualities do you need if you're going to be a leader, or what qualities do you need if you're going to lead with this particular project. Because you can have a marketing project where you want somebody with ideas, and that's who the leader would be, the person with ideas. Whereas in another situation, another project, it may be the leader is going to be the one who can bring in helpers, who can bring in people who are already motivated to make the project work. And so a leader can be the person with ideas, but a leader might be, by contrast, it could be the person who can involve other people and get other people to cooperate and to make a contribution to the project. Because being a leader, you might think there's only one thing, being a leader, but there are different qualities maybe, or different strengths that a leader can have, and there's not just one strength. Leadership may seem like one thing, but it's got shades of grey, so to speak. The other thing I wrote down here was authority. Who has it? So when a king comes up, the question or the event can be about who has the authority, and who is the one who naturally or correctly makes the right decision or is in charge. Who makes the rules or gives orders that other people are meant to follow. So with the king upside down, the person in question isn't very good at giving orders, or gives the wrong orders and doesn't appreciate what's required to make the thing work. And then with the queen, I wrote sensitive, and so with a queen it can be about sensitivity, and somebody's in charge, but they're also sensitive to the strengths and weaknesses of other people, or they're sensitive to what needs to be done to make the plan or the project go smoothly. And with the queen upside down, they just don't have what it takes to get people on board and cooperating and working together to make the thing work. And I wrote down here ideal mother figure, because I think queens, because they're feminine, maybe it's the mother, but probably if it's upright, it means the ideal mother. So you think about what a mother is. The ideal mother's like, they're friendly and capable and care for other people, and they're compassionate. And I wrote down at this point agreeable, because there are five main, or the five, I can't remember, I think it's main, but the five psychological types are there's ocean, OCEAN, openness, I can't remember the word, C, not constitutional, conscientious, E for extrovert, A for agreeable, and N for neurotic. And so people are there's a scale, openness, people are very open or they're very closed. And people fit onto that scale, onto that graph, whatever the word would be, and they're more or less agreeable or more or less closed. And so you get five psychological types, and mothers have to be agreeable. And mothers have a high degree of agreeableness. Because you think of it, if you've got a baby, and the baby's a month old, and it's 2:00 in the morning, and the baby won't stop crying, you have to be agreeable. You have to, okay, I'm just going to stay up with the baby and comfort the child. You can't be conscientious and think, well, the child needs to sleep and it's going to sleep. It doesn't work. So mothers, the ideal mother has to be agreeable. And that can be what queens are a good example of, or have a lot of agreeableness. A knight, and I wrote down energetic, youthful and appropriate, and a messenger. So knights are maybe 25 years old. They're energetic. They've got get up and go. They want to make things happen. They want to make things work. They don't mind going out and staying up all night. You know, it's 4 a.m. I got my second wind. Going to Houston tomorrow and get those Aerosmith tickets. If you happen to know Dazed and Confused, the movie. So knights are young, but I got here youthful and appropriate, because you can be youthful and sort of young and energetic, and that's right under certain circumstances, but under other circumstances, being energetic is a wrong way to go about things. So I'm thinking with a night that's upright, then being night-like is appropriate. Whereas with the night upside down, then we don't need somebody to make it work. We need somebody to settle things down and to be calm and collected and to figure out the best thing to do, the best way to go about doing things. We don't need somebody to rush in and just make it happen and try to make it happen, try to fix it. Because maybe you need to stop for a bit and let things settle. Then you can make sense of it and fix it. But with the night upside down, you come across a mess and you immediately start throwing things here and there, trying to make it work. And it's never going to do it. It's not going to work with that kind of approach. So the youthful enthusiasm isn't appropriate. And then with the pages are young people. And I wrote down childish or childlike. So maybe a page can be somebody who is childlike when upright and childish when upside down, one way or the other. Childish when it comes to money with pentacles. So you give them $10 and they go and spend it, and the first thing that catches their attention, which is sort of thing that you do when you're 5, but maybe it's not the most appropriate thing to do with the $10 when the page is upside down. Whereas when the page is upright, you're childlike. So you find fascination in different things and you're willing to explore and try new things and you're open to new challenges. You don't give up immediately if something doesn't look right. And then I've got here, I wrote down shiny object syndrome. So maybe with a page representing a child, shiny object syndrome is people get easily distracted. Oh, look, shiny object, and their attention is taken from this that's important to this that's unimportant. And that can be what's represented by a page. So a page upside down, they're subject to shiny object syndrome, that they can be easily distracted. But that can be good as well, because if somebody is upset about something, you can easily get them thinking about something else, take their mind off the problem and onto the solution or onto a different way of looking at the situation. And last but not least, what did I put? Inexperienced. So a page, because it's a child, can represent a child, can be inexperienced. And that can mean that going back to that earlier question, how am I going to do in the new job? With a page upside down, you're inexperienced. You don't know quite what to do. Excuse me. So enter slowly and get to know the ropes first. Then you can be more capable. But in the beginning, you're not going to be that capable. So that's something about court cards. And so in a few minutes after I'm uploading this or after I'm rendering this, I'll write out something and post it to Substack. Although I think it's quite straightforward. It should be, but it may take me a little bit of time to get the hang of it. So if it's not up there till tomorrow afternoon, Saturday afternoon, it's just because I'm not very very familiar at this point with Substack and how to upload new content. So that was it. I think that was quite long. So if you've got comments or questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you in a few days. Okay? Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.